Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa man wala. Now, what we're going to go over today is going to seem maybe it's going to seem, I'm trying to think of the proper word, irrelevant maybe, or extremely detailed and maybe above us or something, or above our level or something. But in Arabic grammar, the next logical step here is to understand this concept. And this is not so you can go around saying this is Mabni ala sukun li ittisalihi nun and niswa or something like that, right? So you can go around saying this phrase, this grammatical phrase, but so that you can properly put the vowels on words. And the reason for properly putting the vowels on words, first and foremost, is so that you pronounce the words properly. You can't pronounce the words properly if you don't know what vowels to put where, right? So, if you remember, in the beginning of section 2 in Nahu Wadih, we began with words which are sound in their endings and words which are defective in their endings. And we said the reason for this was that because there were going to be some rules that were going to come up, and if they were sound in their ending, then these rules are going to apply to them. And if they were defective in their ending, meaning they had an alif or a waw or a ya at the end of them, whether they were a past or a present or a command verb, if they had a defective ending, then there might be some differences in there just because of the defective ending. So, the next thing we began to discuss is that words are basically two types, Mabni and Mu'rab. Mabni and Mu'rab. What does Mabni mean? Abdullah?
The ending would don't change.
The ending doesn't change, exactly. In Mu'rab, the ending changes, right?
No.
Okay. And we said that we had 5 categories of words, really. We had 3 categories, and then we broke the verb up into 3 categories, so it became 5. So we have the ism, and we said that some of those are mabni and some of those are mu'rab. Then we had the fi'l, the verb. We had madi, mudari, and amr, past, present, and command. And we said that the madi and the amr are mabni. They never change. And the mudari is mu'rab. It changes. And then we had the harf, and we said they're mabni. We said they are mabni. So, now, then we had when the types of something being mabni. So we say something could be mabni ala fatha, or mabni ala damma, or mabni ala kasra, or mabni ala sukun. Right? That's our conditions. It can be mabni ala ضمة مبني على فتح مبني على كسر مبني على سكون. And we said that the types of i'rab are types of something being mu'rab is going to be with a dhamma, or we say it would be marfu', or it could be mansub, or it could be majroor, or it could be majzoom. Those are our types. This is general categories of mabni and mu'rab. Mabni ala dhamma, mabni ala fatha, mabni ala kasra, mabni ala sukun. And then it could be marfu', mansub, majroor, majzoom. Right? And that each of these have signs. And there are origins, or original signs, and then there are supplementary signs. So the original sign for something being marfu' is a dhamma.
Dhamma.
And the original sign for something being mansub is a fatha. And the original sign of something being majroor is a kasra.
Kasra.
And the original sign of something being majzoom would be, we'll say, a sukun. However, there are words that are put in different conjugations or different types of words, and they are going to have different signs of marfu', mansub, majroor, and jazm. You're going to have different signs, right, due to the different kinds of words or the different conjugation. And they'll have different reasons for being mabni ala dhamma, mabni ala fatha, mabni ala kasra, mabni ala sukun. They'll have different reasons. And so we're going to talk about all of that. Right? Some of this, like I said, might seem monotonous or it might seem irrelevant. So for instance, if a person knows the chart, kataba, right? Kataba, right? Katabu. If a person knows this chart, right? Katabat. Katabata. Katabna. If a person can do this chart and put these vowels on it as I'm doing it, katabna, katabta. If a person can do that chart, then it's going to seem a little bit katabtuma. It's going to seem maybe, like I said, a little bit irrelevant. Why are we doing this? Katabtum. Like, man, I already understand it. Well, if you already understand that, fine. Right? Katabti. Katabtuma. It's the same one. And katabtunna. Alright? If you already understand that, then it's no big deal. Katabtu. And like I said, this is going to seem real irrelevant. Katabtu. Then there is no dual. And katabna. If there was to be just two people talking, we would use the plural for first person. Right? If you could do this chart, it's not a big deal. Right? It's not a big deal. We don't need to spend a lot of time on this, right? However, sometimes there's still something that might come up and we're not aware of it, right? So, right, we need to look at it. So let's look at this chapter. We're going to start taking our time on these chapters. Right? No longer review. Even though we've done this, we're going to go over it like we haven't. So if we read اشتد البرد, the cold, here's our fa'il, that's why it has a dhamma because it's marfu'. اشتد البرد, the cold became more severe. ثار الغبار, right? ثار الغبار, the dust flew around or whatever, right? وَنَزَلَ الْمَطَرُ, the rain came down. All of those in our red here have a dhamma on them, they're marfu'. They are our fa'il. But we're not talking about that right now. What we're talking about is the verbs. The ahwal al-bina for the fi'l madi. So, let me give you another chart here. We said kalimat, right, are three types. Ism, fi'l, harf. And then we said that the fi'l has three types. Madi, past tense, mudari', and amr. And we said that from these, the amr and the madi are mabni, right? And we have a few mudari' that might be mabni, but most of them are mu'rab. Now we're talking about here the types of the mudari' or the madi. How are they mabni? Are they mabni ala fatha, mabni ala dhamma, mabni ala sukoon, so on and so forth? That's what we're talking about here. How are they mabni? If we look at this past tense verb, ishtadda, thara, nazala, they all have a fatha. And they all are third person, right? Third person, singular, masculine. Right? There's no nazalat, nazalta, nazaltu. They're all third person, singular, masculine. And they're mabni ala fatha. Mabni ala fatha. Right? Mabni ala fath. It has a fatha at the end. So, if we look at this chart, kataba, ذكر, jalasa, akala, shariba, kharaja, qara'a. All of them have a fatha on the end, and no matter what you put before it, it's not going to change. Al-awladu la'ibu. The children, they played. Ar-rijalu safaru. Al-umal, the men traveled. Ar-rijalu safaru. The men, they traveled. Al-umalu ta'ibu. The workers became tired. This is on the scale of what we wrote over here of katabu. Right? And we see that every single one of them has what on that third letter?
Dhamma.
A dhamma. So this we're going to say Mabni ala Dhamma. Right? Ala Dham. That's how you would say it. But Dhamma, Dham. Same thing. Right? Li ittisalihi waw al jama'a. Because this waw is the group. So because this waw is connected to it, right? Then it's going to be Mabni ala Dhamma. So when we look over here, all of our past tense verbs in third person are going to say dakhalu, kharaju, akalu, sharibu, jalisu. No matter what one you have, the third person, and this is, where are we at? This is third person, masculine, plural. Right? Third person masculine plural is always going to have a dhamma on that third letter, that third radical, and it's never going to change, no matter what comes before it. The next set of letters, Fatahtu al-baba. I opened the door. Right? Al-baba is the maf'ulun bihi, mansoob. Right? Talaqqaftu al-qurra. Right? Talaqqaftu al-qurra. I don't remember that word, what it means. 1 second. It's a soccer terminology. I don't know that terminology. Okay, to snatch or to, like to steal the ball from the other person, right? Al-qurra is a ball. Talaqaftu, I seized it, I snatched it, I stole it from the other person, right? Not necessarily stole it, but we would say in English like he stole the ball from him, Talaqaftu al-qurra. I snatched the ball, right? Akhadtu jaiza. I took a vacation, basically. A vacation, jaiza. Right? I took a day off. I took a, however you want to say it, right? This is I took. This is first person, singular. Doesn't matter, male, female, right? The third radical in all of these words has a what on it?
Sukun.
So we're going to say Mabni ala Sukun.
So you're saying it don't matter if it's male or female?
Male or female, first person, whoever's talking, doesn't matter. First person, who's talking. The one who's doing the talking, doesn't matter. If a female said, I opened, she say, fatahtu. If a male says, I opened, he says, fatahtu. Right?
Oh, it's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
Okay.
So, when we look down here at katabtu, dakhaltu, kharajtu, sharibtu, akaltu, jalistu, or jalastu, like this, all of them are going to have this sukun on that third radical. All of them. Right? All of them are going to have that sukun on that third radical. Go back up. We read number 10. Sadaqta fi qawlik. Sadaqta, you spoke the truth. Fi qawlika, in your statement. You said the truth in your statement, right? Sadaqta, you said the truth. Addalta fi hukmika. From Ain Dal Lam. Adl, to be just. Adalta, you were just. Fi hukmika, in your ruling. Ahsanta ila nas, you did well. Ahsanta ila nas, you did well to the people. All of these we're talking to second person, male, singular. صدقت, عدلت, أحسنت, كتبت, دكلت, خرجت, أكلت, شربت, جلست, قرأت. Anyone we use, right? We see what does it have on the third radical?
Sukoon.
It's going to be just like فتحت or صدقت or عدلت or أحسنت. It's going to be مبني على سكون, right? مبني على سكون. My pen won't let me write that noon there. I guess something to do with that. So anyway, let's look here. كتبت. We see our سكون. No matter what, it's always going to be there. Right? Then البنات تعلمنا الحياكة. حياكة. I gotta look that word up. البنات, the girls. تعلمنا, they learned. الحياكة, which is whatever. Which is weaving. Okay. Hiyaka is weaving. Right? Hiyaka is weaving. They learned weaving. تعلمنا. الأمهات, the mothers. أطعمنا أولادهن. They fed. أطعمنا. Right? أولادهن. They fed their children. الفتيات رتبنا المائدة. The girls رتبنا, they made order, they placed المائدة, they set the table basically, right? They made order on the table, they set the table. رتبنا المائدة. The third radical in these verbs has what?
Sukoon.
Sukoon. So again, مبني على السكون. Right? And this is third person, feminine, plural. We look over here at the chart. We see it here. Third person, feminine, plural. كتبنا, دخلنا, خرجنا, أكلنا, شربنا, قرأنا. Anyone you use. The next chart, and then we'll fill in the rest of them because they're not giving us example for everyone. In the qaida, they'll give us examples for all of them. Okay. خرجنا إلى الحقول. Right? We went out to the field. استنشقنا الهواء النقي. استنشقنا comes from nashaqa, right? And this istinshaq, we know this from wudu. Istinshaq is when we take the water in our nose and we suck it up and then blow it out. So it's like to take a big breath or something, right? Istinshaqna al-hawa al-naqi. We took in, I don't know how you want to translate it. We breathed in deep breaths of, I'm sure there's a real good English word for someone real educated that could come up with like a single English verb for it, right? We ingested or something, I don't know. We inhaled, but with a stronger type of meaning than just inhale. The pure wind. Right? And قطفنا الأزهار. We picked the flowers or roses, right? قطفنا. We picked, right? We picked or plucked, right? Now, what's on the third radical here?
Sukoon.
Sukoon. Again, mabni ala sukoon. Now, technically, this is technically, we have, out of these 6 categories here, we have one mabni ala dhamma, that's the first one. One mabni ala fatha, that's the first one. One mabni ala dhamma, that's the second one. And the others are all mabni ala sukoon. They're all mabni ala sukoon. However, these which are mabni ala sukoon, some of them are mabni for different reasons, and we'll go over that in a minute. But let's go back to our chart. We just had this. What was the last section we had? Okay, katabna. This one. Right? Katabna. Okay. Let's read our qaida. Here it comes. Okay. Al-Qaida. Rule. Al-Fi'l al-Madi. The past tense verb. Yubna. There should be 2 dots. Yubna. Al-Fat. It is basically mabni al-Fat. Illa. Except إذا اتصلت به واو الجماعة. So our rule for the fi'l madi is a fatha. That's the rule. Right? Except Waw Jama'. Right? Except third person. Masculine. For some reason, man. Masculine, plural. Right? That's number 1. Exception number 1. Then it's mabni ala dhamma. Katabu. أو اتصلت به التاء المتحركة. Right? We're going to skip that exception for a minute. We'll say ta mutaharrika. We'll write it just for, but we're going to skip that for a second. Oh, noon niswa. Noon niswa is the noon for women. And again, that's third person, feminine plural. And we'll look at the chart in a minute for all of this, inshallah. Right? Oh, na al-fa'ilin. Or na al-fa'ilin. So I'm going to make my chart a little bit different here. It might allow me to write better too. Okay. So the qaida here is it's mabni ala fatha. Right? Mabni ala fatha. Except sometimes it's ala dhamma. Or ala sukoon. Right? And what was the other one? Is it mutaharrika? Oh no, we don't even want the sukoon there, right? It's either a dhamma or a sukoon or a fatha. That's it. So let's go back. Where's my new chart? I just started it wrong. فعل ماضي. Let's write it like that. الفعل الماضي. Right? It's going to be مبني one of three ways. الفتحة, السكون, and الضمة. Is that clear? Now, this is the rule here. Fatha is the rule. Sukun and Dhamma are exceptions. Dhamma is Waw Jama'. Right? Third person, masculine, plural. Right? Fatha, that's the rule. That's the rule. Right? The sukun is one of two reasons according to our qaida. Either ta al-mutaharrika, noon al-niswa, no, three reasons. Noon al-niswa or na al-fa'ilin. The reasons here are ta al-mutaharrika. Mutaharrika. Right? Or noon al-niswa or na for first person plural, right? Everything else is mabni ala fatha. So let's look at our chart. I'm going to try to pick a good color here. This blue that we had at first. If we look here, kataba, kata, these two were not dealt with. Right? These two, yeah, they were. Yes, they were. I'm sorry. Kataba. Our third radical has a fatha. Right? Third radical has a fatha. Right? Third radical has a fatha. Right? Anyway, kataba, kataba, kata, all of them have a fatha. But when I add this ta, mutaharrika means not sukun. Mutaharrik, harrika means to move. Sukun means to be still. Right? A haraka is a vowel. A sukun is not a vowel, right? So, mutaharrika, if I add any of these tas with a vowel on them, right? Even these, katabtum, right? Katabtuma, katabtunna. All of these have this ta with a vowel on it, if we see that. Whenever we do that, the third radical is going to have a sukun. If we add the noon for women, plural, third person, it's going to have a sukun. If we add the na for us doing it, us, the we, right? The we is going to have a sukun. Right? So, if it has the ta al-mutaharrika, or the noon al-niswa, or the na of the fa'ilin, the na of those who are doing it, right? Then, it's going to be mabni ala sukun. If it has a waw or jama', it's going to be mabni ala dhamma. And any other one is going to be mabni ala al-fatha. Every other one, mabni ala al-fatha. Now, like I said, if you already know this chart, that's going to be like, I don't know, monotonous, or it's going to seem irrelevant. Like, why are we doing that? I already know that. But if you don't know the chart, then this is a way for you to know it. When do I write a sukoon and when do I write a fatha? You write a fatha all the time unless you add the ta mutaharrika or the noon and niswa or the na fa'ilin or the waw jama'. Right? It's always a fatha. If it's not if it's the waw jama', I add a dhamma. And if it's the noon and niswa, the noon fa'ilin or the ta mutaharrika, it's going to be a sukoon. So now you know how to do the chart. It'll help you with your chart. Now when looking at these,
hold up. Okay, you said if you add the ta.
The ta, which, huh?
You said it's gonna be a fatha.
Yes.
Okay, but we got the like.
No, I said it's gonna be a sukoon. If you add the ta, which moves, which has movement on it.
Okay, I got it.
Which has a vowel on it, basically, right?
Yeah, I got it. Then it's gonna be sukoon.
This is something. This is for dual, so it's a little bit different in these two, but it applies. But if the ta has a vowel on it, katab ta, katab ti, katab tu, katab tuma, katab tum, katab tunna, then all of them have a vowel on them. Then katabna and katabna, right? Like this.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
So
okay, and then when you got the noon for the female, it's gonna have a sukoon.
It's gonna have a sukoon,
And
just
if you
like
had the noon
katabta.
for us, it's gonna have sukoon.
Sukoon, right?
Okay, and then, other than that, it's gonna have the wow. That's gonna have a dhamma. Then other than that, it have fatha.
Right. I'm trying to take them all off. There we go. One more. Go back. There we go. So let's look. The page is open and clear for us now, right?
Now I just misunderstood when you were saying because when I thought you said when it has a ta on it, it's supposed to have a fatha. But I see you saying if it's the ta which moves, it can have a fatha.
Right.
Capital dhamma, but it's still gonna have that. On the third, it's gonna have a sukoon.
The third one is gonna have a sukoon, right?
Yeah.
Right. Let me go back. I'm doing it wrong. Sukoon, right?
Yeah.
All those
but
have
these
sukoon.
here, this sukoon, right? Yeah, but that one there is. I thought that was from the noon.
No, the noon ain't here yet. This is katab tunna.
Katab tunna.
Right here, katabna. That's for the noon for the female, noon and niswa.
Oh, okay.
And here, katabna is the noon
It's for the
fa'ilin.
Okay. But to katab tunna is just because of the ta.
Right. And then up here,
Alhamdulillah.
I'm gonna go if I change my color, katabu has a dhamma. The rest of them are mabni ala fat.
Yeah.
Right? So now, like I said, what does that mean? Now, but if we go and look at it, it's a little clearer now because I didn't do all that writing. If we look at it, we're just going to say about these, mabni ala fatha. Right? Mabni ala fatha. About these here, right? About, let me see. Get a different color here. 1 second. Black would be good. About these here, we're going to say mabni ala sukoon due to the attachment of the ta al-mutaharrika. That's the reason that it's mabni ala sukoon, because we put that ta that moves and has a vowel on it, right? Then it's mabni ala sukoon. As for This one, it's mabni ala sukun because of the nun and niswa. This one is mabni ala sukun because of the na fa'ilin, the na for us, right? And this last one is mabni ala dhamma due to the waw al jama'. Now, like I said, that's much more advanced, or much more to start. That part is more advanced. Why is it mebni on this? Why is it mebni on that? That's a more advanced thought, right? But the concept of why or where it's mebni and what vowel do I put, or what sukoon or what do I put, then that's for us. Now, if we already know this chart, then it could seem irrelevant. But if we don't know the chart, then it's not going to be irrelevant, right? If we're not that familiar and we can't break down the chart like that, then it's not going to be, right, that irrelevant. This is for the fil madi. It's either going to be mabni ala al-fatha or ala sukun or ala dhamma. The rule is it's mabni ala fatha. That's the rule. Right? That's the standard. Kataba, it's mabni ala fatha, and kataba is our standard. That's our base pattern for the verb. There's nothing added to it anywhere. Kataba, that's the base pattern. So the base or the rule is a fatha. But if we add the ta al-mutaharrika, the nun al-niswa, or the na al-fa'ilin, then it's going to be mabni ala sukun. And if we add the waw or jama', it's going to be mabni ala dhamm. Right? Clear?
No.
That's for the fil madi. So when we look at this chart, where was our first chart? Okay, that's for the fil madi. It's going to either have a fatha hopefully you understand that. A sukoon or a dhamma. Right? Fatha is the rule. Sukoon is for ta mutaharrika. Noon and niswa, na al-fa'ilin, and the dhamma is for the waw jama'. Any questions?
Nah.
Well, the next section is dealing with when the fil amr is mabni. And we don't have enough time for that. Right? It has more rules than those rules that we just had. We basically had 6 sets of examples here. Right? We had 6 sets of examples over here. Right? Was it this one or the next one?
Nah. Yeah.
This one.
There you go.
Yeah, we had 6 sets of examples. Right? Because basically there were 6 different ones. Basically we either mabni ala fatha, mabni ala dhamma, or mabni ala sukun due to the ta al-mutaharrika, the noon and niswa, right? Or the na al-fa'ilin. So we had all 4 here, right? We had those sukuns there. So now that we had 6 in the fil amr, we're going to have 8 different categories, and it's going to take us some more time, and we don't need to fry our brains more than we already have. Like I said, if you already know this chart, it's going to seem irrelevant. It might seem irrelevant. It might seem irrelevant. If you don't know the chart, then it might help you to memorize the chart. When do I put this? When do I put that? It might help you, right? And why is it? Is it لاتصاله التاء المتحركة لاتصاله النون النسوة لاتصاله نا الفاعلين, right? لاتصاله واو الجماعة. All of that is a little more advanced, the reasons for it, but it's not above you. It just, right now, we're not really making it rob of the sentences. We're not really doing that because that's not our purpose to go around making it rob, although, you know, eventually we need to be doing so, right? But it's not really our purpose to go around breaking down the sentences in the minutest detail of why this is there and why that's there. That's not our purpose, right? That's when a person can do all of that. That person can look at the Quran, can look at the statements of the Prophet ﷺ and say the Prophet put this ahead of this. Normally the mubtada comes first and then the khabar, but the khabar came first in order to emphasize this. And this noon and this way, or this noon mutashaddada is here. And when he brought this, instead of bringing it like that, then the emphasis is here. And you can start bringing some tafsir and some deep thoughts and stuff. You understand? You can start making tadabbur and tafakkur and all that more. You can start to contemplate on the Quran more and figure out some deeper meanings. But for now, we just want to understand the basic general meaning of the tafsir given to us. We don't want to go writing our own tafsir, you know. Right now, if we're able to read Arabic, Ibn Kathir, for example, is going to tell us everything we need to know. If there's a benefit in the grammatical sense, from a grammatical point of view, or grammatical structure of the ayah, Ibn Kathir is going to bring that to our attention, and we benefit from it. Because right now, we're at the point, both me and you, that even if we came up with some, even if we looked at an ayah and said, whoa, subhanallah, man, look how Allah used that word instead of this word. Wallahi, this word is usually used, but he used this one instead, man. Subhanallah, I think that means this. No one's going to take that from you. Not saying you're wrong. No one's going to take it from me. Because our level of Arabic isn't that to that level where we can start like making our own tafsir up, you know, bringing our own points of grammatical benefit. Man, you don't even know the noon and niswa is, dude. You talking about you gonna what Allah said with the noon and niswa somewhere. You know what I mean? So, but we're getting to the point where we can read the tafsir of the ulama, and later on we'll be able to make a deeper contemplation, inshallah.
Inshallah.
So that's the chart here for Mabni and Mu'rab, right? Mabni for the fi'l madi, its origin or its rule is fatha. It has exceptions for the dhamma, for waw al-jama', and sukoon for the ta' al-mutaharrika. طيب. Inshallah. Clear, Abu Sumaya?
Alhamdulillah.
Inshallah. I'll see you brothers tomorrow with the Lathatul Uzul, inshallah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.